Tonight's show, we begin with Mr. Rod Spearman, who is a coordinator for seniors at the Housing Authority. Rod, welcome to the show.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here, Mayor. Thanks a lot. And before we move on, congratulations on your winning primary and the rest of your team.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Manny Grova, Patricia Perkins-Augusti, Frank Quest, and I worked extremely hard during that campaign, and the voters responded with 76% of the vote. That's always nice when you get that kind of vote.
Yes, it is. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your support. And Rod, you're no stranger to the city of Elizabeth. We may be introducing you in a new area as a program coordinator with the Housing Authority, but you spent a lot of years at Elizabethport Presbyterian Center. Tell us about those years first before we move on.
It was actually 29 years that I spent with the Presbyterian Center, first as program director, then the last 14 as executive director. It was a great time, but after a certain time I decided I wanted to move on, and I began a consulting firm working with churches and small businesses in those ventures. And then I was fortunate that Bill Jones and Jose Sabatier gave me a call and asked me to come on board as program coordinator for the Housing Authority. So this is what I'm doing presently.
But before we get into that, Rod, you're the only guy I know that's a Detroit Tigers fan. How they doing right now?
We are currently, I think we're in second place, about 3 games out our division, but we're still there. We took some hits last week with the week before last with the Yankees, but we're still strong. I'm always a Tiger fan.
I know that. I ask you.
I didn't wear my hat today for here.
I know, but I always get a kid. Was it last year they made the World Series?
Yes,
the playoffs? Yeah.
We made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they went down the first round.
Oh, you don't have to remind everyone.
I know. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. So the Elizabethport Presbyterian Center, 29 years, great organization in our city. When you left there and you had an opportunity to go to do a few other things, you looked at the Housing Authority with Bill Jones and Jose Sabatier. So what exactly are you doing with them?
Well, my role is actually program coordinator to develop programs for the Housing Authority, and primarily, first of all, for the senior unit buildings, and to try to energize those senior buildings with services and programs and activities, along with ensuring that the seniors in the housing facilities are utilizing all the great current housing programs, that the senior programs that the city of Elizabeth offers, because there's an enormous amount of programs that the senior buildings offer, the city of Elizabeth offers for seniors. And my role is to make sure as many of those seniors in those buildings get out and participate and get involved with those programs there.
Well, you and I went around the city last month with some members of City Council talking about these programs and these buildings. And naturally, the seniors in some of these buildings aren't even aware of these programs, first of all, sometimes, because they're in those buildings and they think that maybe this is it. Do we bring programs into those buildings? Is the Housing Authority going to do that, or they're strictly going to try and get them out to the other senior programs around town?
Combination. First of all, we want to try to get them involved in as many programs out in the community, because they need to go out, be visible, be active, and participate. And then secondly, bring programs to them, particularly those seniors that really don't get out a lot. And so it's twofold, and that's my role, is to energize them to go out and avail themselves of the great programs already there, and then bring programs to them for those that aren't going to go out.
How do we do that? How do you get that going?
A lot of hard work, a lot of energy. You publicize information. You go out and you knock on the doors at the units. You talk to them, and it's a constant, ongoing an avenue. Even when you came around and presented me and talked to the seniors, that was an exciting opportunity. They began talking, and we're looking to continue to do that kind of program also, at least on a quarterly basis, to let them know there's services and programs out there. They need to get involved, and also bring programs. It's an ongoing effort to maximize the programs that the city has, and bringing programs to those seniors.
And Rod, where are the places you started? Where did we? I know I was with you, but talk to our viewers about where you started first in these breakfast meetings when we introduced you.
One of the first locations, the Farley Towers. We began there. Which is great, and Kennedy Arms and O'Donnell Dempsey, and then the Fort Leonard facility. and each of them was well received. As you know, they asked you a lot of questions, made a lot of demands on you, and which was excellent. So
I hope we got that TV in Kennedy Arms.
We got the TV in Kennedy Arms. Okay. We did do that. That was done within 3 or 4 days after you had the conversation with them and promised them that it would be, and it's a flat screen TV in the community room where they would like to have it at. So that was done. And
we went to Kennedy Arms, Farley Towers,
yeah.
Fort Leonard.
Yeah, Fort Leonard and O'Donnell
Denton. We went to those four.
Yeah, yes.
And we went to the Heritage.
You went to the Heritage Village. I wasn't at that one though.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we went there as well.
Yeah, you went there.
So
as well.
we went to quite a few.
Yes, you did.
What was your reception like? I know when we were there and we introduced you, it was always, what's the follow up?
The follow-up has been, the follow-up has been very, very rewarding. When I go into the buildings now, they knew who I am. They talking to me. They're asking for services and programs. They're spending time communicating. It was a warm reception. Many of them also remembered me when I was at the E-Port. And, you know, I was 29, 40, 30 years in this community, so a lot of them remember me there. So it's been a pleasant experience, and I do have to contribute because you introduced me, so they said I must be a good guy.
Well, that's really good to hear. I mean, if that's all it takes is a stamp of approval that way.
Well, it was a good stamp of approval.
I wish it was always that easy sometimes. What are your goals? I mean, how do you measure? Do you try to get 10 seniors in, 50 seniors, or just overall happiness? What's going to be the goal?
Well, the initial goal, well, several goals. As I mentioned before, one of the major goals is to get as many seniors involved in the ongoing senior programs in the city. Secondly, to provide services there for them there. And part of that is also to bring in some different programs, different services. We probably, like Alzheimer's awareness, working with the veterans that are in the senior facilities. There's other medical concerns and issues and legal issues that the seniors need to have and talk to them about, and then bringing programs. We're looking to actually institute a line dance fitness class in the facilities for those seniors that are there. We've already instituted a English as a second language program in the new facility down at E-Port, the Commerce Building on 1st Street. We've had a fitness program there also. So that's the goal, is to provide as many services collectively from the city and there, and to get the seniors acclimated and let them know there's still a lot of living and activities and programs and services that you can do. We're working with the city also to provide go to Columbus Flea Market, which a number of seniors are excited about that. So it's an ongoing process. My goal is to have every senior in every building actively participate in programs and services.
Now, moving past that real quick, you have been involved in what's called Juneteenth celebration here in our city. We got a few minutes left. Tell us about the history and the significance of Juneteenth.
Well, Juneteenth is a celebration of the ending of slavery. The information got down to Texas, to the slaves down there in 1866, about 2 years after the end of Civil War. And through that, a celebration began called Juneteenth, recognizing the freedom of the slaves. So, and Elizabeth has taken up that mantle to provide services and programs and be very involved with Juneteenth, which will be this Saturday coming. And it is going to be at Ex-Urban Community Center. There will be softball games. There will be Black History, educational lessons. It's a family picnic, cookout, and just a celebration of all the Juneteenth programs and activities.
Now, it's interesting when you think that it took 2 years for the message from Abe Lincoln for the eradication of slavery to get somewhere, and today it takes a total of 4 seconds, or right, for any message to get anywhere in the world.
Right.
And it's really interesting. And here in Elizabeth, you've been instrumental in Black History programs, not only now but in February as well. And when you were at Elizabethport Presbyterian Center. Juneteenth celebration, some of the organizations that are involved, who are they?
Well, there's a number of them. There's the NAACP, there's also the Martin Luther King Commission, the Seniors Citizen Awareness Group, Brand New Day, Elizabethport Presbyterian Center, the Black Caucus, the Pat Perkins Augustes Association, and Nesbitt Funeral Home, as well as the Women's Scholarship Club. And so those are just to name a few. I probably missed some. But
you probably will, and you'll hear about it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad I didn't miss them. Before you break, Rod, can you tell our viewers a name to contact, a number to contact, if they want to participate in the Juneteenth celebration in any way?
Sure. You can contact Alonzo Jones at the City Hall, 820-4000. Ask for Alonzo Jones, and they will make sure that you get in contact with him, and he'll give you all the information.
Rod, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show.
Okay. Just one final word, if I could. One of the other things that the Elizabeth Housing Authority has done with this, with a group called Impact down in Elizabeth Port, is to start a boxing group and a boxing club. The city's recreation department, Manny Grover, Pastor Bartley, Artist Jackson, Curtis Myers, and Eport Art Groups. And this is a boxing group that's dealing with young kids and mentoring and teaching. And this is one of the exciting things that's happening down there, and part of what the Housing Authority part of Eport. But thank you so much, Mayor.
Rod, I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the show. Look forward to working with you with the seniors and this boxing program going forward. You've been a great asset to our community. I thank you for continuing your efforts.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Please stay with us. After these messages, I'll be joined by Jan Lillian, the Executive Director of the YWCA in our community, talking about issues of domestic violence. For Rod Spearin, please stay with us after these messages. Welcome back to the second half of Our City, where I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Janice Lillian, the Executive Director of the YWCA here in our community. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and again, congratulations on your big win the other week.
Thank you. Now, you've been here a couple of years now.
I've been here 3.5 years.
Yeah, and you've been an important part of our city. And tell us exactly what you do, Janice.
Okay, well, the YWCA is the voice for women, and we work with all our sister YWCAs around the country and around the state to advocate for issues that are important to women, but our particular focus is about domestic violence. We're the key agency in Union County for victims of domestic violence, and that's our entire focus.
Has the YWCA always been involved in domestic violence here, or is this a focus that kicked into high gear because it's been lacking in our community?
We kicked into high gear on this focus in 1978. Before that, since our inception in 1920, when the YWCA of Eastern Union County was formed, and originally YWCA of Elizabeth, we were focused on a lot of issues around women's rights, workers' rights, the issues of women moving into the city from rural areas, and we provided safe places for them to live and socialize. We actually were involved in getting the first female police officer in the city of Elizabeth. Don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. That might have been Mary Rabideau.
I don't know. It was a long time ago, before my time.
If she was the first, which I believe she was, she eventually became the director when I became the mayor in 1993. The YWCA, the programs and services that you offer are multifaceted around domestic violence.
Yes, yes. I think of our programs as having three major focuses. One of them is around crises and emergencies. We have a 24-hour hotline. We have a crisis response teams in most municipalities, also at Kane University, to meet police when there's an incident of domestic violence. Our emergency shelter, of course, where women can live when they're fleeing abuse. And everything oriented around crisis. Our court programs, helping women get restraining orders. And then we have community services, which involve supportive housing in the community and case management to help women move along and achieve greater goals. A very robust counseling program that we do on our own as well as in partnership with a number of other agencies. Our PALS program for children, which is also about prevention and education. And of course, legal representation. We can represent women who need restraining orders and who need other things related to family.
The education issue is probably one that I think is probably most important from my perspective, because not a lot of people know how to go for all those services you just mentioned.
That's exactly right, and that's actually one of the areas that we're expanding. We're expanding in the area of doing a lot more professional education. We've expanded our training for professionals in the community, for volunteers, for faith-based leaders, as well as, of course, for our own volunteers. And we're really trying to build a safety net, because our belief is the more people who know about domestic violence, what it is, how to intervene, how not to intervene, how to make a proper referral, that will really make our community much safer.
There's probably ways people intervene and screw it up, right?
Absolutely. One of the common things we hear is, why doesn't she leave? And really there are a million reasons why a woman in a situation of domestic violence doesn't leave. First of all, she loves her abuser. She doesn't love the abuse, but often he has made her feel very worthless. It's really a tragic situation. The women who come to us feel that they're not good mothers, they're not good wives, and that's all part of the abuse. It's part of the power and control. Also, she may worry, where will she live? Domestic violence is actually a cause of 50% of women who are homeless. She may have no access to money of her own. And then for some people, it's a matter of shame and embarrassment. A lot of people will not tell anyone because there's still that stigma, no matter the fact that it really cuts across every community, every ethnicity, every economic strata. Domestic violence, like a lot of things, knows no bounds.
And has the need for services increased on domestic violence?
It has, sadly, even though awareness is increasing. We're seeing an uptick in the number of women who need us.
Is that in this area, statewide, or is that basically?
It's statewide. I'm sorry to say that the last uniform crime report that we have is from 2010. Union County increased by 2%, statewide increased by 1%. And last year, in fact, according to our own statistics, we were able to serve 91 women and 101 children in our emergency shelter, but we actually had to refer out 158 women and twice that number of children because of lack of space. Of course, we work with all of the other shelters around the state. We have a cooperative arrangement, and we do our best to make sure that no women is not served.
Do you think the increase is attributed to better education as well, as opposed maybe some of these incidences have been happening, but no one knows where to go?
I think that's part of it. I think we're getting the word out more, and we really try to get the word out more. I think, sadly, in today's economy, the situation has exacerbated domestic violence. People are out of work, they're having more financial pressures. It's just harder to keep control of oneself.
You spoke about the woman who refuses to leave or doesn't want to leave, and you spoke about some of the reasons why. Who's the best person to encourage a woman to leave? Is that usually a family member, a counselor, somebody in your position?
Any one of those. We really encourage people when, I have people come to us when we do community outreach events or when I talk to people. It's amazing the number of people who say, my neighbor, or sometimes they share with me that they themselves were a victim of domestic violence. And we encourage them to really be supportive. She may have very valid reasons not to leave. Support her. You're there for her whenever she needs you. Provide a safe place for her to come to. If she needs to talk to someone, help her develop a safety plan. That's critical in everything we do. And a safety plan can be as basic as have a copy of your basic documents and have a trusted neighbor keep a hold of them. So if you have to flee, your abuser can't keep them. So we really encourage whoever it is, whether it's a counselor, and we work with many, many people who are still living with abusive situations.
Is that harder or easier to work with the folks who are still living in the situation? Or is it more frustrating on your part?
I think for the staff who work with them directly, it's very, very difficult because they see the options, and we don't push, we gently encourage. We really try to educate the women in terms of what they're going through and what the options are. But our focus is about empowerment. We're never going to make a choice for a woman. It's always her choice, and she may choose to stay. She may choose to be in our shelter and then go back to her abuser. And in that,
is this, Janice, is this more prevalent among young people in dating? Do you see that happening as well? The risk to teens and young adults as they begin a dating life? Well,
actually, the risk is very, very high these days. Young people, 16 to 24, are among the group at highest risk for violence, whether it's dating violence, whether it's not understanding what goes into a healthy relationship, whether it's just accepting the control that a boyfriend may put and thinking, well, he loves me, that's what it's all about. And that's what our PALS program is partly about. It's really about breaking the cycle of violence.
And you would imagine a young person would be able to respond quicker because they would have more education, but sometimes they don't, right?
Sometimes they don't. They don't see it. In February, which is Dating Violence Awareness Month, we have our young people in our PALS program, which is specifically for children exposed to domestic violence. They do an art project and take a pledge about healthy relationships. And we really encourage people.
And you did that skit at Kane University,
right,
in February.
Yes, and we're planning something new for this year.
That's my next. What kind of new things does the YWCA do to reach out, especially to young people?
Okay, great question. We're actually, well, as I said, we're expanding our professional and community education program. We're doing some in-house programs that we hope to roll out to the public shortly. One of them is called In Her Shoes, which is actually a simulation of what a victim of domestic violence goes through. And we may be doing that this October, I'm not really sure yet. We're doing some breakfast awareness series, actually starting them this month, and we'll be doing them every 1 to 2 months. And we'll be, we're inviting people that we know or people that we meet, and I can certainly provide the information if someone is interested in them. And then on this October, of course, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we'll be doing our Empty Place at the Table event. That's an annual event to raise awareness about domestic violence. And we'll be doing our Empowering Women cocktail reception, which will be very exciting. We're honoring this year freeholder Angel Estrada and Sensei Muna Holland, who is a self-defense and mixed martial arts trainer, very into women's empowerment and women's self-defense. So it should be a very exciting evening.
Look forward to being there. Yeah, it's. How can people help? I mean, how does the average person help preventing or reducing domestic violence? Is there a way for that to happen?
Well, be aware that it exists. Be aware, that there's a lot of myths out there, that it's nothing.
It's not only physical, though, too, right?
It's absolutely not only physical, emotional, sexual, financial. A lot of, financial control. We see a lot of that. Becoming aware of it. We have a lot of information on our website. We have a Facebook page. People can volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers, whether it's administrative or on our crisis response teams. Read the paper and just be aware it's out there. It's not just something that happens to an isolated actress, for example.
Yeah. Now, the YWCA, and you have safe houses around as well.
Yes.
How do people find out, not where the safe houses are, but how do people find out about you, the Y, and how would they refer? How would you refer folks?
We have a 24-hour hotline, and the best way to get help is to call our 24-hour hotline, which is in this city, 908-355-4357 or 355-HELP, H-E-L-P.
And the police departments and other are aware of that number, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. We post cards. We have hotline cards. We post them all over. They're in Spanish and English. We're getting more and more of them out.
And if police roll up in a domestic violence, the state law is one must be removed, correct?
That's the state law.
Yeah, that has to happen. And one has to be...
If there is evidence of a physical assault.
One has to be removed.
Right.
Janice, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show and talk about
so
domestic
much.
violence, how important it is, and especially how average folks can basically recognize it or call for help, and especially young people today. They need to know that physical or any kind of abuse is
not acceptable.
Wrong, not
Absolutely.
acceptable. And they shouldn't be in that relationship. So, I thank you for taking the time to chat with us about it.
Thank you for increasing awareness.
Hope you have a nice summer.
Thank you.
For Janice Lillian and Rod Spearman, I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.